Hello everyone, welcome to my channel SW Metro official channel.
Christine Brown's secret life exposed, drug addiction scandal shakes sister wives, Kody involved. Kody Brown, and his 4 wives. Each wife has been neatly, if unfairly, assigned a role by the audience: Mary, the loyal but embattled first wife; Janelle, the pragmatic and independent financial mind; Robin, the cherished and controversial last love; and Christine, the bubbly, fun-loving, and often neglected third wife who became the heart of the family. It was Christine who, in a stunning act of self-preservation, finally broke free from Kody's emotional neglect, becoming a symbol of empowerment for countless viewers. Her subsequent fairy tale romance with David Woolley seemed like the perfect, deserved happy ending. Which is why the recent, explosive, and deeply shocking headlines alleging Christine Brown's secret life exposed, drug addiction scandal shakes sister wives, Kody involved, land not just as gossip, but as a seismic event that threatens to shatter the very foundation of the Browns' carefully constructed reality. To understand the magnitude of such an allegation, one must first appreciate the pristine image Christine cultivated. She was the basement wife, the one who raised the children, cooked the meals, and maintained a spirit of joy even when her own marriage was crumbling. Her identity was intrinsically tied to her role as a mother and a faithful, if sidelined, plural wife. The idea of this woman, the bedrock of the Brown clan's domestic life, being entangled in a secret drug addiction is a narrative detonation of the highest order. The scandal, as purported by unnamed sources and salacious tabloid reports, suggests a long-hidden struggle with prescription painkillers, an addiction allegedly born from the profound loneliness and physical pain of her years with Kody. The sources claim that behind the perky confessionals and cheerful family gatherings was a woman self-medicating the deep emotional wounds inflicted by a husband who openly favored another wife and a system that offered her little solace. This is where the second, even more incendiary, part of the headline comes into play: Kody involved. The implication is not that Kody was a co-conspirator in the addiction, but rather that he was the catalyst and, allegedly, willfully ignorant enabler. The narrative being woven suggests that Christine's emotional distress was so palpable, her changes in behavior at times so pronounced, that it would have been impossible for a husband, even one as self-absorbed as Kody has been portrayed, to be completely unaware. Critics of Kody are quick to point to his infamous confession about not being attracted to Christine, his disgust at her even eating a potato, and his general neglect as forms of psychological abuse that could easily drive someone to seek an escape, however dangerous. The scandal alleges that Kody, so consumed with his relationship with Robin and his own ego, either missed the signs entirely or, more sinisterly, chose to ignore them because addressing them would have been an inconvenience to his preferred dynamic. This paints his subsequent shock and anger at her departure in a terrifying new light, not as a man blindsided by a wife's unhappiness, but as the architect of a crisis he refused to see. The fallout from such an exposure would ripple through the entire Brown ecosystem in devastating ways. First and foremost, it would redefine Christine's entire journey. Her triumphant exit is no longer just a story of a woman finding her strength, it becomes a story of survival in its most raw and desperate form. It adds a layer of profound tragedy to her past and a monumental triumph to her present recovery, should the allegations be true. For her children, particularly her older daughters like Aspen and Mykelti, who were closer to the day-to-day realities of their mother's life, this would force a recontextualization of their childhoods. Were moments of stress or withdrawal misinterpreted? Did they, on some level, know something was wrong without having the words for it? The potential for retroactive trauma and a shaken sense of reality is significant. For Mary and Janelle, the news would be a complex cocktail of emotions: shock, sympathy, and perhaps a painful sense of guilt. If Christine was suffering in silence, why didn't she come to them? The sister-wife bond, though strained, was supposed to be a support system. Would they feel they failed her? Conversely, would it explain previously inexplicable tensions or conflicts between them? For Janelle, who shared a particularly close and pragmatic bond with Christine, the revelation might feel like a personal betrayal of trust, even as her heart broke for her friend's secret pain. And then there is Robin. From her perspective, this scandal would be wielded as the ultimate vindication. It would allow her and Kody to rewrite history entirely. Christine's valid criticisms of their relationship, her justified anger and hurt, could be neatly pathologized and dismissed as the irrational behavior of an addict, not the logical reactions of an emotionally starved wife. Kody could retroactively absolve himself of all blame, framing himself not as a neglectful husband, but as a victim of deception and chemical dependency. The narrative would dangerously shift from Kody drove Christine away with his neglect to Christine's hidden problems destroyed her marriage and damaged the family. It would be the ultimate weaponization of a personal struggle to win a public relations war that has been raging since Christine left. However, the very nature of this exposure demands extreme skepticism. The source is the murky world of tabloid journalism, which thrives on the destruction of public figures. The Brown family, and the Sister Wives franchise as a whole, is a lucrative target. Christine's soaring popularity makes her a particularly valuable subject for a takedown. Could this be a malicious fabrication designed to destabilize her new happiness and boost ratings for a flagging show? Absolutely. Could it be a targeted leak from someone within the family's orbit, perhaps even Kody himself, as a form of retaliation for her public success and his public vilification? It's not outside the realm of possibility. Ultimately, whether true or not, the mere existence of this scandalous headline exposes a deeper, more uncomfortable truth about the Brown family and our consumption of their lives. We, the audience, have consumed their struggles as entertainment, comfortably assigning heroes and villains from our couches. This allegation forces us to confront the fact that we never truly know the depth of someone's private pain, especially when it is filtered through the distorting lens of reality television. If there is a kernel of truth to the story, it is a heartbreaking human tragedy of a woman trying to numb an unbearable reality. If it is a complete fabrication, it is a different kind of tragedy, one of exploitation and cruelty. The image of Christine Brown, the fan-favorite sister wife, potentially grappling with a demon as insidious as addiction while smiling for the cameras and raising her children, is a stark reminder that the curated realities we are sold are often fragile facades. The scandal, real or imagined, doesn't just shake the family, it shakes our perception of the entire story, revealing that the darkest secrets in the PLYG palace were never about rivalry or favoritism, but about the silent, solitary battles fought in the shadows of a plural marriage, battles that no camera could ever truly capture. Kody involved. Such a salacious claim, bursting from the murky depths of tabloid gossip and online conspiracy theories, represents less a credible allegation and more a fascinating Rorschach test of the fandom's perceptions, the show's carefully curated narrative, and the desperate thirst for a final, explosive end to the Kody Brown era. To be unequivocally clear, there is no credible evidence to suggest Christine Brown is or has ever been involved in a drug addiction scandal. The allegation exists almost entirely within the echo chambers of fringe fan forums and clickbait websites, constructed from a fragile architecture of misinterpreted moments, out-of-context quotes, and a fundamental desire to assign a dramatic, television-ready cause to the profound personal transformations the audience has witnessed. The theory's endurance, however, is a testament to the radical evolution of Christine herself. The woman who once defined herself as the loyal, cheerful basement wife, who craved nachos and a functioning marriage with a mercurial husband, has undergone a metamorphosis of breathtaking speed and scale. Her journey from a marginalized spouse in a dysfunctional union to a radiant, independent woman joyfully building a new life in Utah with her new husband, David Woolley, is a narrative so powerfully positive that it seems to baffle those who crave more traditional reality TV chaos. For some, such a triumphant arc must, in the twisted logic of the genre, have a dark underbelly. The evidence presented by proponents of this theory is flimsy at best, often predatory in its interpretation. Christine's palpable weight loss and increased energy are attributed to stimulant abuse rather than the liberation from a soul-crushing marriage and the happiness of a new, loving partnership. Her moments of emotional volatility, tears of frustration over her failed marriage with Kody, or her fierce advocacy for her children, are pathologized as withdrawal or intoxication, rather than the authentic, raw responses of a woman processing 2 decades of emotional neglect. Even her vibrant, sometimes quirky, social media presence, filled with cooking videos and loved-up photos with David, is scrutinized for signs of pupil dilation or jittery behavior, a disturbing invasion of privacy disguised as detective work. This armchair diagnosis is not merely inaccurate, it undermines the very real and relatable human experience of finding oneself after profound hardship, suggesting that such joy and vitality cannot be achieved without chemical assistance. Furthermore, the attempt to implicate Kody Brown in this fabricated scandal reveals the deep-seated narrative need to finalize his villain arc. Kody's descent from a quirky, if narcissistic, patriarch to a widely reviled figure is one of the most stark character collapses.